The sound of wind sweeps through the highlands. The faint echo of bagpipes fades into silence. Then, Claire's voice echoes in memory. There's always another war. War is coming again. Love stands on the edge of chaos, and the Frasers, once bound by peace and land, now stand between the fire of the past and the storm of the future. Season 6 of Outlander is not just a continuation. It's a reckoning. A season where home turns into a battlefield, trust becomes a fragile thread, and every heartbeat feels like a promise against fate. Before we step into celebration, before the gathering, before World Outlander Day, we return to Fraser's Ridge, to the place where love was built and where it's about to be tested like never before. Fraser's Ridge, once a promise of peace, now carries the weight of unease. The air feels heavy, as if the land itself knows that darkness is near. The new season opens quietly, but behind every calm glance, every soft word, there's tension waiting to break. Jamie and Claire Fraser have fought wars, crossed centuries, and faced the wrath of kings. But now, they fight something harder. The quiet battles of survival, trust, and memory. The Ridge was meant to be their home, a place to grow old together, surrounded by family. Yet it's no longer the same. The scars of the past linger like ghosts, invisible but always near. Claire, still haunted by her brutal assault from the previous season, is trying to heal. But healing isn't simple. Her hands still save lives, but her heart trembles beneath the surface. She begins to use ether, the very tool of her trade, to numb her pain, slipping into stillness to escape the noise in her mind. It's a silent addiction born from trauma, and each time she breathes it in, the audience feels her distance grow. Jamie sees her struggle, but he can't fix what he can't reach. His eyes hold the same love, the same fire, but also the helplessness of a man who can't protect his wife from her own memories. He carries his pain quietly, channeling it into leadership, guiding settlers, mediating disputes, building a fragile peace. But every conversation feels like walking on cracked ice. Around them, the Ridge itself has changed. New settlers whisper about politics. The British Crown is stirring unrest. The scent of revolution rides on the wind, and everyone must choose a side. Even when no one truly knows what that side will mean. There's a subtle shift in tone, from hope to warning. The golden light that once painted Fraser's Ridge now feels colder. Every shot of the cabin, every glance between Claire and Jamie reminds us that safety is an illusion. And yet, despite everything, their love remains the anchor. Their bond, though strained, still glows through the storm. They hold on to small moments, shared looks, gentle touches, whispers by the fire. These fragments of peace remind us that Outlander is not just a story about time travel or history. It's about surviving the storms that love must face to endure. As night falls on Fraser's Ridge, the wind carries a quiet message. Something is coming. The shadows are growing, and soon, the Frasers will learn that peace always comes at a price. There are wounds that never bleed, and Claire carries them all. In the quiet corners of Fraser's Ridge, she begins to disappear, not in body but in spirit. She moves through her days like a shadow of herself, tending to patients, mixing herbs, stitching wounds. But when no one is watching, she reaches for the bottle of ether. Each time she inhales, the world fades. The memories dissolve, and for a few stolen moments, she feels nothing. No screams, no fear, no trembling hands. Just silence, a silence so deep it feels almost merciful. But when the haze lifts, the guilt crashes back harder. Claire knows what she's doing is dangerous, that her healing hands are now hiding a secret, yet she can't stop. Because for her, peace is not found in prayer or sleep. It's in forgetting. Jamie sees it. He doesn't need words. He notices how her eyes lose focus, how her hands tremble slightly when she pours a cup of tea, how the smile he once knew now flickers like a dying flame. He doesn't confront her, not yet. Instead, he carries her pain quietly, as if by sheer love he can absorb it all. In his heart, Jamie still sees the Claire who laughed under the Scottish sky, who defied kings and time itself to be by his side. But now, she is a ghost beside him. Here, yet far away. He spends his nights looking at her while she sleeps, whispering promises she can't hear. Promises that one day, she'll find herself again. The ridge doesn't pause for grief. The settlers need leadership. The crops need tending. The threats never stop. So Jamie puts on his armor of calm, the kind not made of metal, but of duty. To the outside world, he's the same strong, commanding figure. But inside, he's unraveling. He can lead men into battle. But how does a man lead his own heart when it's drowning in helplessness? Even the land seems to mirror their turmoil. The skies turn gray more often. Storms roll in without warning, and every gust of wind through the trees sounds like a whisper from the past. You can't escape what's already happened. Claire's internal war becomes one of the most human moments in the entire series. It's not about time travel or history. It's about a woman trying to breathe again after her soul has been shattered. And Jamie, her eternal anchor, stands firm against the storm, not with force, but with love that refuses to fade. There's one scene, quiet but unforgettable. Claire sits alone by the fire, the flames dancing in her eyes. Jamie enters silently, sits beside her and takes her hand. No words, no explanations, just presence. The kind of love that says, "I see you. I'm here," even in the dark. In that moment, Outlander reminds us that healing isn't loud or quick. It's the small act of staying, of choosing to love even when everything feels broken. The world outside is growing restless. Whispers of rebellion creep into every corner of the colonies. But before the war begins, the Frasers must first survive the one within their hearts. Every story has that moment. The calm before a stranger walks in, and everything changes. At Fraser's Ridge, that moment arrives in the form of three travelers: Tom Christie and his children, Allan and Malva. They come with weary eyes, quiet voices, and the kind of politeness that feels just a little too rehearsed. To the settlers, they are simply new hands, new neighbors. But to Jamie Fraser, Tom Christie is a ghost from a past he'd rather forget. Jamie knows this man. They once shared the same prison walls, and not as friends. Tom was always a man of faith, strong in his beliefs, quick to judge, slow to forgive. Where Jamie leads with heart, Tom leads with scripture. And now, here he is again, stepping onto Jamie's land, carrying his Bible like a sword. The ridge, once fragile but balanced, begins to shift. Tom's arrival brings whispers about sin, about faith, about what kind of world the ridge should be. He doesn't shout, but his words carry weight. His sermons draw some settlers in, and slowly a quiet divide begins to form between those who follow Jamie and those who listen to Tom. Claire, ever the healer and scientist, sees things differently. She treats Tom's pain, a trembling hand, the sign of illness, with compassion. But behind her calm smile, she senses something darker. Tom's daughter, Malva, watches Claire with curious eyes. Too curious. There's an innocence about her, soft-spoken and sweet, but it's mixed with something more dangerous. Fascination. Malva becomes drawn to Claire, to her knowledge, her independence, her strength. She follows her like a shadow, eager to learn, eager to belong. But admiration can twist easily into envy. And in Malva's quiet gaze, there's something you can't quite name. Curiosity that feels almost unholy. Allan, the protective brother, hides secrets too. His watchful eyes linger too long. His words carry an edge that doesn't match his smile. Together, the Christies feel like a family wrapped in mystery. Their faith too strict, their kindness too rehearsed, their secrets buried just beneath the surface. Jamie senses the storm forming. He doesn't say it aloud, but every time he looks at Tom Christie, it's as if old chains rattle in the distance. The ghosts of Ardsmoor prison whispering reminders of pride, pain, and power. Claire, meanwhile, finds herself torn between compassion and caution. The ridge starts to feel different. The laughter is less frequent. The dinner's quieter. The sense of home, that fragile feeling the Frasers fought so hard to build, begins to crack. And in those cracks, something dark, starts to grow. Outlander has always been about the tension between love and destiny, but now it becomes something else. A slow-burning psychological battle. The kind that doesn't need swords or blood, only whispers and stares across a crowded room. The Christies didn't bring war with them. Not yet, but they brought something worse. Doubt. The kind that makes a community question its faith, its leaders, and even the people it once called family. Fraser's Ridge will never be the same again. Fraser's Ridge was built on trust, stone by stone, hand by hand. But trust is fragile, and once cracked, it never fits the same again. The whispers begin softly at first. A few words at the market, a passing look in the fields. Then, like wildfire, they spread. They say Claire Fraser isn't like the rest of them. They say she uses strange medicines. They say she can heal or curse with the same hands. And in times of fear, whispers are more dangerous than weapons. Tom Christie's quiet sermons feed the unrest, not with anger, but with certainty. He speaks of sin, of purity, of divine justice, and the settlers listen. Some nod in agreement, others stay silent, but silence too can be betrayal. The Ridge, once united by survival. It starts with a whisper, soft enough to ignore, cruel enough to destroy. Malva Christie had always been a quiet shadow in Claire's world, eager to learn, quick to smile, innocent on the surface. But shadows, if left unchecked, can twist into something far darker. Beneath her polite words and curious eyes, something begins to change. Admiration turns into obsession, fascination into a strange hunger to belong, not just to the Ridge, but to the Frasers themselves. Then comes the lie, the one that cracks everything open. Malva stands before the Ridge, voice trembling but eyes steady, and says that she is with child, and that the father is Jamie Fraser. The words hang in the air like smoke, thick and choking. No one speaks. Not even the wind dares to move. For a moment, the world itself seems to stop. Claire's face, disbelief, heartbreak, anger, all collide in silence. Jamie, frozen in shock, tries to understand how truth could be turned into something so poisonous. The people of the Ridge, already divided, now see their doubts confirmed. If Jamie could betray his wife, perhaps Claire truly is the woman of dark arts they've been whispering about. Malva's story spreads faster than fire. Doors close, prayers are whispered, and every glance toward the Frasers drips with judgment. Claire tries to reason, to hold on to logic, to find out why this young girl she trusted would do such a thing. But Malva avoids her gaze, trapped in her own web of lies and guilt. Then one morning, the air changes. The kind of stillness that feels wrong. The kind that always comes before tragedy. Malva is found dead in Claire's garden, her throat cut, her unborn child gone with her. The earth itself seems to mourn, silent, heavy, and cruel. And when the settlers come running, they find Claire there, blood on her hands, trembling. No one listens to explanations. No one remembers the lives she saved, the kindness she gave. All they see is what they want to see. The witch, the outsider, the woman who finally went too far. Jamie stands by her, as he always has. But even his loyalty cannot silence the mob of suspicion. They whisper that God has punished sin, that justice must be done. And this time, no amount of reason or love can stop what's coming. Claire is trapped between grief and accusation. She blames herself for not seeing Malva's pain sooner, for not stopping her descent into darkness. Yet she knows she didn't kill her. The truth lies buried, perhaps literally, somewhere deeper. Malva's death becomes the spark that ignites everything. The Ridge, once only divided by belief, now turns violent. Lines are drawn, neighbors become enemies, and the Frasers find themselves surrounded. Not by strangers, but by the very people they once called family. It's no longer just a question of guilt or innocence. It's survival. And as the camera lingers on Claire's face, pale, hollow, and defiant, we see it clearly. This is her fall from grace, not because of what she's done, but because of what fear and faith have done to everyone else. When the world turns its back, Love becomes the last light left. The ridge no longer feels like home. It feels like a trial, a place where truth drowns in whispers and justice wears the face of fear. Claire stands accused not only of murder but of being different, of knowing too much, of feeling too deeply. And yet, through every shadow cast upon her, one figure never leaves her side: Jamie Fraser. Jamie's loyalty isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It's in the way he looks at her when everyone else looks away. It's in the way he reaches for her hand, even when the world calls her guilty. His love has never been easy, forged in blood, time, and loss. But now, it becomes something sacred, something unbreakable. There's a moment that defines them both. Claire, trembling, breaking beneath the weight of the lies, whispers, and loss. She says softly, "Maybe this time, love isn't enough." Jamie looks at her, his voice steady like a promise carved in stone. "Aye, it is. It always will be. That's who Jamie is, the anchor in every storm. When the ridge turns cold, he keeps her warm. When her faith in herself begins to crack, he gives her his." And still, the storm rages. Neighbors become jurors. Friends become strangers. Every night the ridge burns brighter with hatred. And yet, in the small cabin on the hill, there's still light. The kind that no rumor can extinguish. Outside their walls, the world is changing too. The drums of war begin to echo from afar, whispers of revolution growing louder. Jamie knows the coming battle will change everything. The crown expects his loyalty. His heart demands rebellion. He's a man divided by history, but his choice is clear. Stand by Claire, even if it costs him everything. Roger and Bree try to hold on to hope in their own way. Their small joys, their growing family, their laughter, flicker like lanterns in the dark. They remind us that even in times of chaos, life refuses to stop. It continues, stubborn and beautiful. Through it all, Claire begins to heal. Not because the pain fades, but because she learns to live beside it. She finds strength in Jamie's faith, in his certainty that love can still exist in a world built on betrayal. Slowly, her courage returns. Her hands, once trembling, grow steady again. Outlander has always been about love that defies reason. Love that endures when everything else falls apart. In this chapter, that love becomes a rebellion. Against gossip, against injustice, against time itself. By now the Frasers know the truth. Peace was never meant for them. Their love isn't quiet or safe. It's fierce, burning, eternal. And as the storm outside grows louder, so does their resolve. Because even if the world turns to ash, Jamie and Claire will stand together. Always. Some endings don't fade to black. They burn their way into memory. Fraser's Ridge, once a sanctuary, now stands in ruins of trust and peace. The murder of Malva Christie has ripped through its heart, and the world Claire and Jamie built with love and sweat begins to crumble. Accusations have turned into torches, and those who once shared their table now come to tear them apart. The air is thick with tension as soldiers ride in. Faces hard, orders clear. Claire Fraser, healer, wife, mother, is taken in chains, accused of a crime she didn't commit. Her hands, once used to save lives, are bound like a criminal's. The people watch in silence, some with fear, some with hate, as the woman who once healed their wounds is dragged away to face judgment. Jamie fights. Of course he does. He always does. But this time, even the man who defied time itself cannot fight everyone. They seize him too, held down, outnumbered, forced to watch as Claire is carried off into the distance. That image, her eyes meeting his one last time before she's taken, becomes one of the most haunting moments in Outlander history. The music swells, the sky darkens, and the world, once filled with the soft sounds of the ridge, now echoes with the drums of war. Because this isn't just about one accusation anymore. The storm of revolution is rising. The colonies are about to explode into rebellion, and Jamie knows it. Every decision, every alliance, every loss has been leading to this moment, when history itself demands its price. But in that chaos, The thing that still cuts deepest isn't war. It's separation. Claire, imprisoned and alone, faces a world that sees her as a witch, a murderer, a woman out of her time. And Jamie, free but powerless, must decide whether to bow to the law or burn it down to bring her home. He's not just fighting for her freedom. He's fighting for their story. The love that has crossed centuries and survived everything but distance. And as the season closes, we're left with a single unforgettable image. Jamie riding through the mist, determination burning in his eyes, the wind screaming through the trees. Somewhere ahead, Claire waits, in chains, in fear, but not in surrender, because she knows he's coming. Outlander has never promised happy endings, only honest ones. And Season 6 ends not with peace, but with purpose. A promise whispered through the storm. No matter the distance, no matter the danger, I will find you. The screen fades. The music swells. That familiar haunting theme. And we're left suspended between heartbreak and hope, because love, for the Frasers, has never been about staying safe. It's about surviving the impossible, together.